Tonnerre. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Monday, June 23rd, 2025. And tonnerre means thunder in French. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are NBA world champions in an NBA Finals besmirched by ratings talk and small city talk and woe is me and woe is the NBA. A 7-game masterpiece unfolded in front of our very eyes last night. And it finished with one of the great storylines that should not be the lead. And so it will not be on Nothing Personal. We will not start with the fact that Tyrese Haliburton tore his Achilles in the first quarter. We will, however, start with the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder finished what they started. So rare in professional sports, where the best team wins the title, the best regular season team. It happens, but it does not happen with the type of commonality that one would think that why even bother to play the playoffs? You don't need to. You've got a regular season champion. Coronate them. The Thunder, who had been dominant this season through load management, through injuries. Don't forget how many games Chet Holmgren missed as an example. The stats, the most double-digit wins, just pummeling people, winning at home, winning after losses, not winning, losing 2 in a row. There's 25 stats that other shows will give you. I want you to think about this one because sustained greatness is what we're about as sports fans and what we're about as organizations. We don't want to win just one title. A lot of us have done that. We want to win more than one. We don't want to be great as an anomaly. We want to be mediocre as the 2 away from the standard deviation of championship. Because, of course, that's the bell curve that we all search for. To be within a championship window for as long as possible. To be good for as long as possible. Understanding that to do that, you have to get into that bell curve by being bad. And yes, we all remember what the Thunder were for 3 seasons only a short time ago. To many, COVID has changed our view of time. The time warp. How long ago was COVID? 5 years? Seems like 100 years and seems like yesterday. Nope, still have it. Do you know that the Thunder, during 3 seasons that started with COVID. Now, it was a shortened season, but not by much. You recall the NBA had a shutdown and they started up and they ended up getting to like 72 games instead of 82. Between 2020 and 2023, they won a total of 86 games. 2023 doesn't seem like very long ago. This year, just this year, they won 84 games. To win 84 games between the regular season and the playoffs, you have to be one of the all-time great teams. Yes, you're right. They're not the number 1 all-time great team. They've won fewer games than the Warriors won that one dominant season. Then the Bulls won one of their dominant seasons. But here they are. They are the 3rd team in NBA history to win at least 84 games. And an NBA title in the same season. That's it. You're already talking rarefied air. Yes, they did it with a player, SGA, league MVP, conference finals MVP, NBA finals MVP, scoring champion. You may think that happens all the time. Rarely, if ever. SGA is the first regular season MVP to win a title in 10 years. It's been 25 years since someone did the quadrifecta the way he did. That's a trifecta, actually. Regular season MVP, scoring title, finals MVP. The leader of the team who had a decent Game 7. Decent. It's hard. What was it, Coca? I want to say 8 for 25. May have been his final from the line, but he also dished out an NBA playoff season high assists last night. But he didn't shoot well, but he played well. The team went into halftime understanding that they were 24 minutes away from what people before the game would describe as, if the Thunder lose this game, the Pacers will have pulled off one of the great upsets in NBA history. Now, that may be a bit of, he was 8 for 27, so he missed 2 after that. 8 for 27. That is suboptimal. Wasn't he about a 50% shooter during the regular season? Anyway, so game 7 brings out the best in people, brings out the I can't do it in people, brings out the 2 for 18 in other people. But when you go into a game where you have the pressure to win, there was no pressure on the Pacers. There was desire. There was belief. There was hope. But the pressure was squarely on the home team Thunder. And when you come out and you are only up by, you're down by a point at the half, I can do it now. It's been 6 minutes. I'm doing it. They were down at the half of game 7 at home against a Pacers team that had lost Tyrese Haliburton for the game in the middle of the first quarter. They had lost Haliburton so early that DraftKings voided all prop bets, including the one we made on the over 15.5. Tyrese Haliburton went down on a non-contact play wearing number 0 like we had seen earlier with Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum. Achilles done. The risk is there with the calf strain. We heard the doctor say it. Haliburton, a hero to many. I will play if I can walk. Those are the types of players you want on your team. You're the front office, and you have an opportunity to win a championship. You are not going to the finals. You are in the final game. You have a bit of history in that calf strain didn't get worse in game 6. He played, looked fine, sort of. What's the worst that could happen? Well, the doctors told you the worst that can happen is a torn Achilles. When he went down and started hitting the floor, you don't need a trainer if you're the president of the Pacers or the owner of the Pacers or every one of his teammates. You don't need an MRI. You don't need to let the swelling go down and hope for the best. You don't need an anti-inflammatory, maybe a couple shots of Toradol, bing, bang, boom, he's fine. When he went down and hit the floor with that exasperated look, it proved a point that I learned over time. Players know their bodies. They know exactly when they're hurt. They may not want to admit it. They may lie about it. They may not go to the trainer. They may complain about injuries they don't have for other reasons, contractual and otherwise. But when you see Tyrese Haliburton go down the way he did, there is no other diagnosis. That is what it is. It's not a sprained ankle or, oh, I got stepped on. Non-contact Achilles, done. Now, of course, the team has to do the MRI. They have to announce will not return lower leg injury. Page 6 of the what we announced because of not HIPAA, because we didn't do the MRI. And the dream is in the MRI, we're not going to find a rolled up piece of carpet. But of course, they'll announce it in the next day. Likely today, he'll get the MRI. They'll announce the Achilles tear, and that'll be it for the year. He will join a third player in the East, a absolute monumental change to next season. But how do you not play him until he drops? 25 years old or 27 years old. I don't remember, Coco, one of those two. He may only be 25 years old. Got a long-term contract. The window for the Pacers, as they are, closed. Will reopen if they sign Turner. Query, do you re-sign Turner when you know you have a year without Haliburton? Are you throwing away the 2025-26 season? Are you nervous and make changes the way we're asking about Boston, the way Milwaukee's dealing with Giannis, off-season storylines, which we can deal with another day? But how do you weigh that? It's based on effectiveness. So let's talk about a pitcher who has an elbow ligament that is fraying or a bone chip that's about to get locked in and could lock in any pitch, could snap the ulnar collateral ligament at any pitch, or a type 2 grade 3 hamstring strain like Aaron Gordon playing game 7 with the Nuggets when they eventually lost to the world champion Thunder in 7 games, you play. I am completely supportive of the Pacers playing. I absolutely weigh the risk. I weigh the cost. I weigh the benefit. If you can get a ring and there's a chance that the player does not cost you a ring, you play the player. What do I mean? If you have a pitcher who you believe as a starting pitcher can't lift his arm, doesn't have full extension, his ligament's about to come off, he's got shoulder pain, you've shot him up with Toradol so many times that he can't go to the bathroom for 2 weeks, all sorts of different things, you believe that you are potentially at a competitive disadvantage with that player playing. You can't risk hitting a player fourth with runners on base when you need an absolute run scored, man on third, 1 out, and the guy can't walk. Or if you need someone to score from second, he can't run. There are myriad ways I could tell you that competitively you don't do it. The NBA, I feel completely different. Haliburton on the floor. Tyrese, give me what you got. Go till you can't. You tell us, we'll look, and we'll tell you if we have to. Haliburton would have been able to go 2 for 18 in Game 7. Haliburton would have been able to play 38 minutes, hobbling up and down, making the occasional drive, making a few passes, a few shots, and Indiana would have been fine with that. They would not have sat him, as good as McConnell is, as a backup. As much of the stress of the game that Nembhard had to take, and by the way, Siakam's got to take more shots than he took when you know that Haliburton's gone for 3/4 of the game. But you definitely go with Haliburton. When he went down, there was this sort of, like the air came out of the room. And then as the game progressed through that first quarter and second quarter, people are saying to themselves, can the Pacers win this without Haliburton? Is he McOverrated? Is it true that their team is so deep and so quick and so good that they can get it done? They go into halftime saying, this may be the miracle on Market Square Arena Street, except then Oklahoma City came out in the second half and the third quarter, and that was it. What they did to the Pacers in the third quarter was not at all a surprise. Should it have been? Those are the types of games and quarters that Oklahoma City has done all year long. And when you've got someone on a team, call it SGA, call it Williams, Wallace, call it Dort, by God, can he play defense? He can shoot. You've got Holmgren getting 5 blocks. Just the depth of that team, doing the things they do. You know that there's a quarter like that coming in a game because it comes just about every single game. And in that third quarter, when they outscored the Pacers 34-20 for 7 turnovers by the Pacers, who can't say, hey, we were without Haliburton. They were the whole second quarter, half the first, and had a lead at halftime. They got Oklahoma City'd, just like everybody before them. I understand why Rick Carlisle was looking at the makeup of that game, watching things happen the way they were, and how none of the starters played 40 minutes in that game. I understand that he wants to believe that the way they're going to win the game is with depth. It's with finding someone who's hot, whether it's Nesmith, nope. Whether it's Turner, nope. Even Siakam. One of the things that we talked about before the show is, man, in a game 7, don't you play everybody 48 minutes? Don't you put your 5 best guys on and go down with the group that got you to the dance? The thing with the Pacers, and the reason why their minutes get spread out so much, is this is how they got to the dance. They did do exactly what they do Haliburton-less when they got to game 7. They depended on their bench. They depended on their defense. Think about this. They held Oklahoma City to 103 points. But Oklahoma City's defense, way too strong. So at the end, the Oklahoma City Thunder win the championship. At the end, they are up on stage where Sam Presti is being interviewed, the GM of the Thunder, who you may say, man, he's been around a long time, and you'd be right. He started the last season in Seattle. You may say that he's put together the youngest champion since the 1977 Blazers, and you'd be right. You may say that this Oklahoma City team is only getting going because they've got so many young players that they have an opportunity to just get started now with Shai at 27, Jalen Williams at 24, Chet Holmgren at 23. Oh, by the way, they've got just this week in the draft 3 of the top 44 picks. Every single one of their players comes back. They're all under contract. They could get up to 4 first-round picks next year. Forget this year. They could get 4 more first-round picks next year. Sam Presti, a genius, put together a team that 3 years ago was tanking and now is in position to have sustained greatness by moving pieces out so they don't ever get to the second apron that will crush other teams going forward, whether it's Minnesota, Cleveland, Boston, Milwaukee. You get to single apron, double apron, and all of a sudden you're hamstrung. Them is the rules. There's a reason why there is parity in the NBA in a way that makes every other league jealous. There's a reason why you'll read stats today that, listen, Adam Silver is the man. The commissioner did it. There's a new champion for the 7th straight year. Adam Silver has given 12 owners, 12 times he's given an owner a trophy, 9 different owners. That's 9 owners in 12 years, 9 teams in 12 years. Yes, the Warriors dynasty's in there, 9 in 12. And you'd say, wow, that's sort of, I don't know, 75%. That seems only mediocre until you look at what David Stern did. David Stern, the previous commissioner, did it 30 times, not 12, 30 times. You know what he had? 8 different champions. Yes, it's true. You had the Lakers, you had the Celtics. That's right. Even the Rockets 2 years in a row. But think about where the NBA has gone, where what they tried to do under Silver started in the beginning with LeBron James, with the thought of, hey, let's bring a big 3 to a team because with 3 magical players on a team, you can win a title. 4 championships in a row, 2 titles in a row, 4 NBA finals in a row for the Heat, and 2 titles. We talk about dynasties. I talked about it immediately. This has to be a dynasty. It's not a dynasty winning 1 title. It's not a dynasty winning 2 titles. You got to win a minimum of 3 titles in the course of 4 years, 5 years at most if you want to be a dynasty. Here they are, 1 for their first 1. But the way basketball is constituted, you can build your team for today and you can have assets that you think you've got under management. And then all of a sudden you have to do max extensions. And then all of a sudden you're looking knee deep at Mitchell and Mobley and saying to yourself, man, I'm in Cleveland with a bunch of max guys looking knee deep at an apron in Cleveland. The NBA to me is in a enviable position as they figure out what their moves are forward heading into the first year of a new TV contract. As they figure out this offseason, and we'll talk about potential blockbuster offseason trades as we head into in 2 days to the NBA draft, where every team gets to start anew and the Dallas Mavericks get to raise their flag and say, this is going to be us in the world that Nico created. When you look at a league where you have an opportunity to win and there is parity in that way, that's what MLB talks about when they talk about the big difference between the Dodgers and the Pirates or the Dodgers and the Marlins, where from the get-go there is a set of disadvantages that are inescapable, not manageable, and barely able to be overcome. In the NBA, you put a smart front office together, recognizing the rules of the salary cap and the rules under which that league operates. And if your franchise isn't winning, it means that your franchise isn't the best franchise, top to bottom, off the court, on the court. And these sort of bad franchises, they manifest themselves in myriad ways. I'm going to tell you about one of the ways a franchise can exhibit extremely poor behavior. I've gotten on the Ishbia family. It's not I'm riding the coattails of Pablo Torre, which you may think I am, but I'm not. We've talked plenty about Matt Ishbia outside of PTFO and their investigation, their deep dive into who Ishbia is. You can go listen to the show. The new owner for the Phoenix Suns came in like a bat out of hell, Meatloaf. He came in and said, I've got this. I don't need no stinking basketball, people. Anything that shines, I'm attracted to. Bring it to me. The Phoenix Suns did that. And the Phoenix Suns ended up horrific. Stinky. Then they realized that their payroll is so high. They have so many luxury tax issues, so many apron issues. You got to move someone. Will anyone take Bradley Beal? Pretty please. There are owners. This does happen, Coca. Funny enough, it actually does. Where during owners' meetings, you will have baseball owners during the cocktail hour, sometimes even during the main meeting when you go to the back of the room and you're getting like pastries and a cup of tea, cup of coffee, or a soda, whichever the current sponsor is, most likely a Pepsi. And you're saying, hey, any interest in my guy? And of course, owners all like acting like GMs. And so, yeah, no, that'd be interesting. Well, have your guy talk to my guy. I'm picturing Matt Ishbia walking around. Hi, I'm Matt. Hey, it's Matt here. Hi, I'm Matt Ishbia. What do you think about Bradley Beal? And him being shunned like a loser in high school that no one wants to be, alone in the lunchroom, despondent beyond repair because you have to sit with the nerds, the geeks, or the techs, or the drama people, or the athletes, or whoever you view as the losers in high school. And believe me, it's all perspective. Starting quarterback can be the loser, even though he has the hot girl. You never know who the loser is. But you sit around walking to different tables. Hey, I got Bradley Beal for sale. Nary a taker. All right, what's next? Kevin Durant. What about him? I got him ready to go. Well, let us know if he wants to go here. Well, what does that have to do with anything? Why does Kevin Durant have to say that he wants to go to a team? Yesterday was quite a day, Coca. Quite a day. Very, very frustrating to me. I'm old school, and I admit it, and I'm fine with it. There is no reason why a trade would be rumored or announced on the day of Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It is an outrage that anything takes the attention away from a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And you can count on Michael Rubin and Fanatics to make it rain attention. I took my son to Fanatics Fest yesterday, and I'm walking around, getting ready for Game 7, looking at a little memorabilia, seeing some cards, seeing some old SI issues. By the way, to the audience, to the 30% of you, please pay attention right now. Christy Brinkley was a very, very famous model who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated myriad times. There was a booth selling old SI magazines. There's one of Christy Brinkley. Son, it's your golden birthday. Would you like me to buy you this SI magazine? Response, I don't know who that is. I had to walk away on my own son's birthday out of absolute despair. How could I be such a bad dad? Easy to answer. And those of you who know me may come up with an Ace Ventura long list of why I'm a bad dad. But not having taught him about the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition and Christy Brinkley, come on. But amongst the Sports Illustrated magazines and all the cards and memorabilia, celebrities walking around, you read all about it. Tom Brady won, what did he win, $1 million playing some games? There were VIP rooms and green rooms, and you've got Eli Manning. You got Kevin Hart in a cold as wash tub. And then, ping, the phone pings on a random Sunday of Game 7. The ping, of course, is from the GPITW, the greatest producer in the world. That's how I get my information. That's how I know when it's time for me to go to the restroom. I get the ping from Coca. Something going on with Game 7? Is he giving me the referees? It's not Scott Foster. Interesting. I'm looking at the rotation. Tiven and Wright, it's their turn. There's a very easy way to analyze the ref rotation. We're good. No, it wasn't about that. It was about Kevin Durant getting traded. No, it was not. No, it was not. I'm in Fanatics Fan Fest looking at Kevin Durant with mine eyes. And my eyes were not lion eyes. This can't be. What great fortune. What a PR coup. Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets while he is about to go on stage and give an interview. And of course, it's brought up. Dear Kevin, hello. Looks like you're going to be on the Rockets. Hee 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 hee. We're going to see, he said. We're going to see. Boy, are we going to see. 5 second-round picks. The number 10 pick in the draft the day after tomorrow. Plus Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. And what does Houston get in return? They get flowers. They get love. They get people saying, ooh, you just added Kevin Durant to a number 2 seed. Ah, you just made Ime Udoka your long-term coach, gave him an extension. This is about getting the title to Houston for the first time in basketball since that 1995 season. They have now become a beast. And then you look closer at the trade and you say, boy, oh boy, that seems pretty unbelievable given the trade we just went over with Desmond Bane. How is it that Durant gets 5 second rounders? Yeah, maybe one of those hit, maybe, not often. So it's bulk. It looks pretty. I did so many trades, Coco, where I just wanted to look pretty. Just give me extra players. Here, take the mirror, put it under their nose. Okay, they can fog up a mirror. Great, we'll take it. Give me another one. I got to be able to go to my fan base and my owner and say I got 6 for 1 or 7 for 2. This is amazing because in baseball, anything can happen. It could be Dontrell Willis for crying out loud. You know that story. Total throw-in in a trade. We're genius scouts. Brilliant baseball people. We deserve Organization of the Year, which we won because we had a throw-in named Dontrell Willis, who ended up being one of the best young pitchers you could ever get. No, let's tell the truth here. So maybe one of the second rounders makes it. Maybe it's possible that Orlando did something that they shouldn't have done. Although, God, how happy is Orlando today that Haliburton went down and now the Bucks and the Celtics and the Pacers may be below them in the East for sure. And now they're truly worrying about the other teams, the Bostons of the world, which they shouldn't worry about because of Tatum. Anyway, I digress. Let me get back to the Durant trade. So Durant's sitting there. He's being all coy. Query, was it done purposely? Maybe. Query, was it announced at a time that would be during this huge, huge event at the Javits Center? Maybe. Do you think the NBA and Adam Silver were born under a turnip truck? Do you think they were born yesterday? Do you think that they had no idea that Shams would break news about a trade to the Rockets right as Fanatics Fest was going? When you see Durant on the schedule for Sunday of Game 7, do you make the call and say, you got to move him to Saturday? Oh, he's not available. Give him an extra $200,000, make himself available. Is it up to Adam Silver and his people to say, this seems a little fishy to me? I am not going to go there. It can't be that I'm going to turn into a conspiracy theorist where all this was done purposefully in order to take attention away from the NBA Finals, in order to give fans something that they want a preview of the offseason and all the big moves that can be made. I'm not willing to do it, especially for a trade that's not up against the deadline. For Christ's sake, folks, it can't be announced till July, but it gets leaked on the day of Game 7? It's damn shameful. A shout out quickly, Coco, please, to the people in Miami, to our fans in Miami. Thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for listening. I know you feel like a bridesmaid today. I know that you wanted Durant and you feel like you never make the play, you never make the trades, you never get the big players. I know you feel like that Pat Riley just believes that if he wants a player, he's going to get a player, even though he's proven he doesn't like trading the players he has to get the players he wants. He just wants all the other teams to genuflect in his general direction to get the players he wants without giving away the players he doesn't want to give you. He's Billy Bob Thornton in Love Actually. I'll give you anything you want. as long as it's something I want to give you. Well, that really doesn't take a leader, does it? That doesn't get your team better, does it? I'm really not interested in Durant on the Heat. I don't think Durant will make the difference for the Rockets. I don't think he would have made the difference for the Heat. But I know in Miami, you're all feeling like, oh, woe is me. It can't be true. But sometimes the best trades are the trades you don't make. Sometimes you have a better opportunity of success when you think you need to do something, but you don't actually do it. I'm super excited to see how this all turns out for Houston. I'm super excited to see how it turns out for Phoenix. The storylines are endless during this offseason, going into next season. Adam Silver, after getting over the upset and anger about this leak, has to be extremely, extremely happy with this season. And I, for one, am excited. Before we go to break, Coca, I want to put up the graphic because this has been one of the highlights. I didn't tell you, Coca, the backup story that happened with one of the voicemails we played. We do a So You Want to Talk to Samson every Wednesday. The second hour, we are a 2-hour show. We are live on YouTube, Nothing Personal with David Samson. Please hit subscribe. Thank you. You can also download and listen and watch on the DraftKings Network. You can do myriad things to get our dulcet tones in your ear and our opinions in your belly. But on Wednesday, our second hour is devoted to you. And if you call 631-377-4869, that number again, 631-DPS-4869. And if you do call 631-377-4869, you're going to get a voicemail. And in that voicemail, it will say, "Hi, I'm David Samson." And I'll raise my hand. I'll stick out my tongue. I'll say, "I'm not stroking out yet," and I'll ask you to leave a message. And you never know, we may play the message. Like we did last week with someone who purports to have vomited in my general presence about 25 years ago, calling to apologize. No memory of it. May not have happened. But that said, it made me smile. So make sure you call that number. All right, we come back. We are going to do our movie review. And then we are going to get into some baseball things that happened over the course of the week and some things that happened off the field of sports. Don't worry, not too political at all. Just something I think you should know as you head into your Monday so you can start framing your water cooler talk once you run out of talking about SGA, the Thunder, and the Dodgers. We'll do it all after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's time for the review. I think you all know that I love Rachel Brosnahan because I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I think you know that I love Bohemian Rhapsody and therefore I love Rami Malek. I think you know me well enough that if a movie comes out called The Amateur that stars Rami Malek and Rachel Brosnahan, that I'm going to watch it. And when it's called The Amateur, I got a lot of things in mind, all sorts of possible categories. And then I start watching. And I see Lawrence Fishburne, training Rami Malek, who's an IT guy in the CIA, FBI, or some sort of NSA, all of a sudden be put into the field to avenge the death of his wife. Can't be that his wife is played by Rachel Brosnahan, because the wife dies before I can even open The Good and Plenty. So that can't be it. There's no way that her career is in a position where she takes a 2-minute role, is it? The whole movie, I'm waiting. Hey, look, it's Godot. Still waiting. Brosnahan's got like 4 scenes. I'm despondent. Rami Malek turns into this action hero as though he's Mr. Average Ordinary Man trying to figure out a way to avenge the death of his wife and to break the code of silence and secrets that exists in the underworld of our government. I guess that's the plan. We've seen plenty of movies where, like, Mr. Ordinary Man. Hi, Michael Douglas falling down. Where Mr. Ordinary Man, hi, Running Man. Mr. Ordinary Man just becomes construction worker, Total Recall. Tons of movies like that. This one was just bad. I'm going to save you all the time in the world. You want a Rami Malek movie? Please go watch Bohemian Rhapsody. You want to watch Lawrence Fishburne? I got 20 movies to suggest to you, not this one. But he did play death very well. And then he comes back from the living. I'm going to spoil the crap out of this movie. The amateur is amateur. Skip it. Tomorrow, we're going to review a movie. So start watching. It's on Amazon. It just dropped. If you're not a fan of Bryce Dallas Howard, then you're not paying attention to beauty and greatness. Bryce Dallas Howard stars in a movie called Deep Cover. I've got great hope for Deep Cover. Excited to watch it tonight, late night, this afternoon, whenever I get to it, and we will review it tomorrow. I want to spend a few minutes talking about what's going on this weekend. And so I was minding my own business on Friday night, Thursday night. I'm forgetting which night it was, but I think it was Friday night. And I got the push alert from various news organizations where I subscribe, try to hear from both sides of the aisle, who's saying what, who's thinking what matters, what doesn't matter. Got an alert that the United States had bombed nuclear facilities in Iran, 3 of them to be exact, with B-2 bombers that came from where they are in Missouri, flew 36 hours. Yes, they have a toilet on board, some snack foods, an extra crew, dropped bombs, turned around and came home, all under the cover of a day and a night, a day and a half. This was something that the administration had been indicating it would be interested in doing for a couple weeks. Wasn't sure when, wasn't sure how. A couple of things that happened that made you think, hey, there's something going on here. All the refueling planes, the refueling bomber planes have started to move over the Atlantic Ocean. You get that information. You think, why do they need that there? Oh, you got to make it look like you're doing something, even if you don't. You move a bunch of bombers toward Guam because that's where everyone thinks you're starting from. All right, a little bait and switch. Good. But are we doing this? What's the reason? We need to have better bombs than Israel, which we do, which gives us an opportunity to hurt Iran's nuclear facilities more than they could. And so we find out that they did. Then President Trump meets our nation and talks to us in a way that is supposed to give us comfort. It's supposed to give us the feeling like we are large and in charge, that we are a military power. And if there's someone who has nuclear bombs, so we don't want to have nuclear bombs, forget the nuclear proliferation treaty, forget who's in it, who's out, what we pulled out of, what we didn't. The fact is, it's not just Israel that's in trouble. Don't think about that, folks. Forget all the one-issue voters out there. We're talking to you, Mr. Everyman. And Mr. Every Person says, I want to feel safe. I want to feel comfy. I don't want anyone's finger on a bomb whose finger I do not trust. People have written theses about this, articles, books, first strike capabilities, who should be in what treaty, who should have nuclear weapons, who shouldn't, why we should have them and other countries shouldn't, why we're the responsible ones and they're not, why we need full, absolute explanation and exposure to the realities of what our enemies are doing, which, of course, you're not going to get because they're your enemy. Hi, I'd like to win money from you in poker. Do me a favor, just because I say so and I'm at the World Series of Poker and I've won it before, just show me your cards. Do you mind? Let me check out your pocket kings. The thing about pocket kings is you got a good shot. Unless, of course, you're up against pocket aces. So, we live in a world now where there are sports people getting on Twitter, getting on X. There are people devoting a few minutes of their show to something where we're saying, is this World War III? Is this a war that we can't stop? Is this a war that we're in, we're out? It'll be like going to Wisconsin? Or is this now day one of a new reality? The thing about dropping bombs in Iran and getting into a war with Iran, and do not believe the spin, because you'll get spin from both sides of the aisle right now. On the right, they're saying this is what we needed to do. Let's go, Trump. This is not a war. This is a absolute pointed mission that was taken care of. You've got people on the left telling you this is the most irresponsible thing. What right does he have? Well, the rights that are given to the presidency by the legislative branch. In this very example, post 9/11, if you want to stop terror, you've got the right. It's not an act of war. It doesn't require congressional approval. All of these things can be true all at the same time. But doesn't it create a little moment as a citizen? What we want as citizens is the ability to go about our lives in a very selfish manner, looking only in the immediate concentric circle around us and believe that no one will pierce our peace. Whatever our lot in life is, whether we have a bad job or a good job, whether we have a ton of money or no money, our reality is our reality. And what we want from the government, and as it relates to overseas conflict or conflict in our backyard, is don't interrupt me and my show, my life. What I heard most this weekend, Coca, all around restaurants where I was, not talking about baseball or game sevens or the NFL, none of it. The biggest conversation that I heard was about one, economy, and two, of course, it's going to be economy first, and two, what does it mean that we just bombed Iran? It was one thing to help Israel, but this is different than helping Israel. This is interjecting ourselves. And the common thread for everyone, and I was with people on both sides this weekend, both sides, but there was a commonality of interest that we don't focus enough. We focus on differences. We don't focus on similarities because it's not as sexy. It's not as fun to have your own show and talk about everyone loves each other and how I have a personal relationship with Andrew McCutchen. It's not fun to talk about that. Way more fun to talk about, well, this is a problem. We've got a crisis to deal with. We are in the first inning of this. The game started with a long time ago. I'm going to say October 7th, but I could go back years before that. The U.S. involvement is something that's been pondered over many administrations when they've talked about Iran and how to deal with Iran as the sort of sultans of terror. The problem is, I don't see how it ends. Yes, it's true that Gaza can be destroyed. Yes, it's true that Iran and their nuclear capabilities and their uranium plants and all of the areas where they combine to make these weapons of mass destruction, bring them down, going to get built again. But what's the risk? I've been managing and weighing that risk all weekend, Coke, as I think about a trip where I'm headed next week, as I think about different things that I believe in, different family and friends who are overseas in various countries, wondering, is this different actually, or is it just what we think is different? I don't have that answer right now. And anyone who tells you that they have that answer, they're being misleading. Just make sure you read your articles and you listen to your shows and you get an understanding of the two sides of the U.S. involvement with Iran and the bombs that they dropped, and understand that the rhetoric that you're hearing are people who are simply telling you that politically they are in one camp or the other. But this is not just a political issue. This is a human issue. This is an economic issue. This may impact your commuting price. There are all sorts of other issues that are not tangential. They are directly related to the actions that we take as a country, that our leader takes as a president, that our legislature takes as a governing body. They do have a direct result on your inner sanctum, on your circle of life that you're trying to protect. So it is not being selfish to tell you that the more you know, the more you learn, the better you will be in coming to terms with what impact this will have on you, if any, and what impact it has on others and whether you care. Nothing personal pick of the day. The beneficiary of our sponsors at DraftKings. Thank you, DraftKings, though I would like to give an argument against what you did. We took the over Haliburton 15.5 points as a pick in Game 7 when we did our picks on Friday. Haliburton goes down in the first quarter with 9 points. He was hot. 3 for 5. He had 9 points when he went down. He only had to get to 16. Piece of cake. Rolling. Goes down, done for the game. I call up Coca and I say, hey, Coca, what do we got here? Is it void? And Coca said DraftKings voided the prop bets for Haliburton. They said we will be refunding all losing bets that included Tyrese Haliburton on markets that were undetermined before he left the game. That's his over-under. This includes single and parlay wagers where he was the only losing selection. That's us because we had Tyrese over. There will be a credit inside 48 hours for digital bets, refunded in DK dollars. Now, a couple things here. One, with DK dollars, here's what you can't buy: milk, eggs, plane tickets, shelter from the storm. However, it's super nice what DraftKings did because I don't quite get it. Yes, I called Coke and said, how do we do? Because I'm worried about our picks. I'm worried about our yearly tally. When you bet someone on an over prop, don't we have to know that SHs? Don't you know that a guy can get hurt? Don't you know that a guy can sink? What's the difference between a guy getting hurt and a guy stinking? Why didn't I get a refund if I bet Starks 2 for 18 in Game 7? Can't we get a refund against crappy performance? Or is it just injury? But injury is part of the game. Here's when I think DraftKings should void an individual single bet or parlay if it's the only losing part of the parlay. If the player gets stuck in traffic and misses the game, or if the team playing has an issue and doesn't make it and there's no game played, then you void the bet. But for an individual, thank you, DraftKings, for the gift. We'll take the DK dollars, but that was not necessary. That's part of what you do. That's gambling. We also had SGA under 33.5 points. Were you nervous? I wasn't. 29. That's a winner. We had Oklahoma City minus 8.5. We told you Oklahoma City was going to cover, and Jack said, well, if they're going to cover, that seems hard for them to cover and for you to go under on SGA. Well, jumping Jack Flash, it happened. OKC covered and SGA went under. And then to sweep the weekend on Friday night, we told you, look out for those Rays. The Rays are one of the best teams in baseball, and they're only giving 116 to the best team in baseball, except you've got Baz going against Flaherty, who's super inconsistent. Flaherty was so bad Friday night, the Tigers got whooped, and we end up with a 3-0 week. Boom. That brings our record to 83-83. Well, guess what today is? It's Corbin Day. That means, of course, we're taking the Orioles over the Rangers because we go against Patrick Corbin every time the guy pitches. He's been better this year, but we're still doing well. Orioles over Rangers, Corbin Day. And the second pick today, I want to have you watch another baseball game. It's the White Sox and the Diamondbacks. The White Sox are actually minus 110 over the Diamondbacks, which you're going to say to yourself is absurd. How can the White Sox be favored in a game ever when they are record-breaking losers? Well, the Diamondbacks, a playoff team wannabe, are going with Eduardo Rodriguez. Not good. So we're taking the White Sox in the first 5 innings because Eduardo Rodriguez is going to get shelled because he's been a large disappointment. And why would that change? So our picks are Orioles over Rangers full game and White Sox over D-backs in the first 5 innings. 83-83. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got a second hour, so much to cover. If you blinked, you missed Shohei, but not in this show. We'll talk about the Dodgers getting a second start from Shohei Ohtani after this. Welcome back to hour 2 of Nothing Personal on Monday, June 23rd, 2025. I want to start with decisions that you make as a team in consultation with your owner, with your marketing people, your salespeople even. And then sometimes you have to bring in Major League Baseball. When there are things happening in your community, and the general word that we use is tragedy. And so that gives us an open pool to think about how we can be good community partners and how we need to, as a professional sports team, be good community partners. And it can come in many forms. It can come in a mass shooting in your area. It can come with a hurricane, an earthquake. There can be myriad things that the discussion goes like this. Okay, something big happened. It happened in our market. We need to do something. Then, once you agree you need to do something, then you have the discussion, what do we need to do? And the discussion is far more business-like than you believe because it's money related. Teams, all teams, Marlins included, you have in your operating budget a amount of money that you put aside for SH. Twice in one show I've used that. For stuff happens. Florida was always, it's a hurricane, some sort of issue that happens in Florida where a local team has to step up and donate money, donate food, donate relief, donate intellectual capital. With all the Cuba issues that existed in Miami with Castro, was he dead? Was he not dead? What's Cuba going to be like? We had employees of ours who were involved actually in policy making in D.C. as it related to Cuba. We were dialed in and locked in with the NOAA, which is the hurricane group. I can't remember the name of the guy. Jim Cantor. I hope I didn't get that wrong. Where you look at the devastation that a hurricane provides and decide, oh, that's a $500,000 donation. That's $150,000. That's $1 million. We'll donate only our stadium as a shelter. We won't. Our parking lot as an area for supplies or first responders. There's tons of stuff. Things that happen in a school, you figure out what you're going to do. There's things going on right now where the Los Angeles Dodgers had to give a lot of thought, as do other teams, with immigration, with concerns that fans have, that workers have, with what ICE has been doing, border control. Obviously, the Los Angeles Dodgers are a team right in the middle of that. There are certain issues that actually become league-wide issues. And that's when you'll see MLB, in conjunction with the Players Union, from a CBA-mandated budget line item, where there is money available from the get-go to give to tragedy. That's really what the line item is. It's unplanned, unexpected money that you have to budget. It has to come from somewhere, and you know that it's going to happen. And so there's a system in place of how MLB and the union, how they work together to figure out what's going to be donated where and how much. There are certain things where it's not in your backyard, but you still give because MLB will call you, or you'll realize this is a big enough national issue that we're going to donate to blank as a team. And then you do it and you're aware of what the team in that market's giving, and you give less because you don't want to show up the market, the in-market team. So if there's a hurricane that happens in Miami, you don't want another team giving more than you do. So it's coordinated, it's organized, and I'm all in. You know that about me. All of the money that I've raised and that we raise and give to charities and to try to cure things, obviously. When it comes to politics, there is no rule anywhere in the CBA. There's no discussion in owners' meetings that stops individual owners from giving to one side or the other. As an entity, baseball is very careful, as are the other leagues, to give to both sides. There are many owners who are that smart also, where you're giving to both sides because then you can't lose. There are still other owners who are very unique to one side and they don't care whether they win or lose. They're only going to give to that side. No problem. There are owners who have different views on immigration. They have different views on the economy. They have different views on Israel. They have different views on what's going on in Iran. Every single political issue you can think of, every single economic issue you can think of. You work together as owners in many instances, but you work apart on others. Totally standard. The Dodgers obviously are trying to figure out how they should deal with the immigration issues, something that is basically manifesting itself inside the corporate C-suite level of so many different companies in so many different industries. If you think that the travel industry, if you think that the hospitality industry, if you think that the lawn care industry, if you think that the education industry, if you think that the sports industry, there's not one industry I can think of other than a single owned and operated corner store in the middle of America where they absolutely do not know or care about anything, as they are a one country, one stoplight, one color town. Do those exist? Yes, of course, there are people who can't have the capacity or desire to think about every issue. Sports teams, however, have to be different, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, in this case, have to be different, and they are. However clumsy it's been, the Dodgers have stood up and they have said, we've got to do something as it relates to how our fans feel and how our employees feel. So the Dodgers said that they're going to work with the city of Los Angeles, and in the coming days, they are going to make as many announcements as possible. They're going to work with local community organizations, labor organizations. They're going to support families, and they're going to support with mental health services, with food. They're going to give $1 million to support all sorts of different things as it relates to the angst that is the immigration issue in California. 4869. That is in New York. 4869. That is in about 48 states, maybe 50. Not at all surprised that Stan Kasten announced what he announced. I just want to point out something about it so you can understand what teams go through. And so they had to do an entire press release about this. And they were announcing their $1 million commitment, et cetera. But then they had to come up with a quote. And remember, it's sensitive. And remember I told you how press releases work? That sometimes the owners do it, sometimes the president, sometimes the GM. I think you'd agree that the immigration issue is a sensitive political issue. There are people on both sides who have different views about safety in America, about open borders, closed borders, about people taking jobs, getting jobs, losing jobs. Everybody has an opinion. Mark Walter, who is trying to get approved to be an owner once he gets a deal done in LA, who is trying to be the head of a corporate behemoth, he's not going to announce this. He has Stan Kasten announce it. And listen to what he had Stan Kasten say. What's happening in Los Angeles has reverberated among thousands upon thousands of people. And we have heard the calls for us to take a leading role on behalf of those affected. We believe that by committing resources and taking action, we will continue to support and uplift the communities of Greater Los Angeles. Think about the brilliance of that statement. What does that statement say, actually? It says that we love the fact that we sell out and that we print money. We love the fact that we've got all these great corporate sponsorship deals. We love the fact that Japan is a huge part of our business. We love the fact that we have a team that has Dominicans, every sort of different color of player. And we also love and embrace the community in which we live and have to acknowledge the diversity that is LA, whether you want to say it's political or not. Whether you want to say that California is a state that, oh God, it's so left, I can't even believe it. You understand there's plenty of people to the right in business in LA. You understand that because a state is the way a state is does not mean that every citizen is that way. That people who represent a state do not represent definitionally every single person, every one of their constituents? This is standard stuff. You understand that Stan Kasten has to be careful because the Dodgers have to be careful because you don't want to go against the president this day and age. You don't want to get bullied. You don't want to be on the wrong side of the moon. Because if you are, it can actually impact not just the Dodgers, but the entire sport of baseball. Do you think for 1 minute the commissioner's office was not having discussions with the Dodgers about how to play this, how to talk about it, who to talk about it? As an industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry, you don't just do things by the seat of your pants. You don't just do press releases, announcements, decisions to make a stand on an issue as controversial as immigration. That's not me telling you. It's just a fact. It's not a take. That requires communication. It requires an understanding of what is the best way that we have to take care of our home base, but also not offend the federal shield under which we operate. The Dodgers did a smart thing. It's going to make a difference. It is thoughtful, important. Obviously, it's nuanced. Obviously, it is purposeful, but I will not yuck on anyone's $1 million. And I will appreciate the fact that they're providing mental health services and food, though, of course, I could argue giving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to a kid whose parents just got deported and saying, by the way, we'll put you in therapy. I'm not so sure that's the best way I would help, but let's not quibble. Speaking of not quibbling, this is going to be hard for me. It is. It's going to be hard for me not to quibble with Shohei Ohtani and his use by the Dodgers. I'm on record in a couple of different ways, Coca. I want to make sure the audience, because we have a new audience, and June, if this month keeps going, it's a record-setting June in terms of new audience, in terms of your engagement. Thank you, just in every way. A couple things you need to learn in case you're on Twitter or in case you're listening to the show for the first time. Welcome. Yeah, I do have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. There's no question. Hard to have a show without opinions. That'd be silly. Hi. My blazer is blue, my shirt is pink and blue, and my phone case is from Where the Wild Things Are. At 8:40 a.m., I like to use chapstick. At 8:46 a.m., I tend to be in the bathroom. I go through about 7 glasses of water a day, and I try to work out as much as possible, but not often enough. Are you excited? Is that the show you want? Just a little play-by-play of what's happening? Give me a break. Of course I'm going to give you my opinions. It's a microphone. It's a platform. You ought to be doing the same. Whether you're talking to one person at your dinner table or 60,000 people at a sold-out Yankee Stadium, I don't care. Take it responsibly and use it. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything I'm saying. Obviously not. That's stupid. You shouldn't. And it doesn't mean I'm going to get everything right. I make mistakes all the time. You all send me corrections. New audience, send me corrections at David P. Samson on Twitter, at davidsamsonpodcast.com. Send up a flare. Do whatever you want. If the Ass play in Vegas in 2028, yeah, I got it wrong. If somehow baseball is willing to be on the record and say, oh yeah, we doctored those balls, we deadened them, I got it wrong. If somehow Shohei Ohtani gets built up where he can go a complete game by October, yeah, I got it wrong. But man, what I'm seeing with Ohtani so far, what is their exact plan? Big announcement, Shohei Ohtani pitching on Sunday. Stop the presses. He pitched an inning. He threw 18 pitches, struck out 2. Yippee. What are you doing? If I'm in the media in LA, I got to ask Dave Roberts, what exactly is your plan with Ohtani? And thank God there are people with the quill who are willing to ask the tough questions to this day. Dave Roberts responded, that's kind of to be determined. I think we're always going to be cautious. Now, ready for this? So I don't even know what that's going to look like to be fully built up. I don't think anyone knows what that looks like because it's not a normal starting pitcher. So to say 6 innings and 90 pitches, I don't even know if we'll get to that point. Dave Roberts, I'm tipping the chapeau. You just said the quiet part out loud. You just showed how you're taking advantage of the roster spot given to Ohtani as a two-way player. You're now showing other teams, why do I have to build up Ohtani on a rehab assignment? Forget about it. We don't need him to start and go 6 innings. We want him to hit 5 times. We want him to get 2 hits and 5 RBIs and hit a home run and have us win 13-7. We're happy to do that. If he can start a game, give us 1 inning, great. And then he gets to bat at the top of the inning or the bottom of the inning, and all's well that ends well. And here I was, time and again, showing again, telling you the only way for Shohei to come back is to go on a rehab assignment, which the Dodgers have said they're not going to do. I don't get it. Where's his spring training? Oh, he's going to throw 1 inning at a time at the big league level every 5 or 6 days? That's not even spring training bullpen buildup, where you throw 1 inning every 2 days and eventually go back to back before the season starts and you're ready to roll. Are they doing that? Is he now a full-time reliever? If so, he's got to go back to back. I don't have an answer to this, and I'm going to get back to MLB on this. For postseason roster purposes, is it the same as the regular season? Do they get to designate Shohei as a two-way? I would assume they do. What's good for the reg is good for the play. Offs. So the Dodgers are totally misincentivized. And somehow Shohei Ohtani and his sponsors and representatives and Dog all got together and said, we've got a great plan. Let me pitch an inning here or there. It's fun. I love it. It shows that I can come back. Keeps me in the conversation as one of the greatest players of all time because I'm both pitching and hitting. But does this count as pitching? What if he has fewer innings pitched than a position player on his own team? I don't know if that'll happen by the end of the year, but it could. I bet if we looked right now, has Kike Hernandez pitched more innings than Shohei Ohtani? Are you willing to say that Shohei Ohtani is in consideration as a Cy Young caliber pitcher if they don't build him up and bring him back to the point where he is starting, or he's a dominant late season closer? That'd be cool. If you're going to use him for an inning, why not make him the closer? You've had enough injuries there. Tanner Scott, better, but stinky. Why not put him in the closer's role? Too tired by the end of the game from hitting? The whole opener thing, I just don't know where it gets the Dodgers. I don't know why they're going to do it, but they are. And so I guess I'm wrong, because if you don't have a plan to get a starting pitcher to 6 innings and 90 pitches, then you don't have a plan. That's the whole purpose of the plan. That's the whole reason we schlepped to Florida, north from Miami, south from Montreal. The whole purpose of spring training is to get pitchers ready for the season. That's it. Now, the hitters get them some swings, but spring training is way too long for hitters. They know it. They hate it. But pitchers, you need every one of those days, because the whole thing is you're getting them to the point where you can actually give your bullpen a rest during the course of this marathon of a season. Forget October. You're getting them to the point where you can give them the ball in the first inning and say, let's go. Get me to the 8th, please. If Shohei's never going to do it, screw it. Let him just hit. I want to go into a little detail about something that Andrew McCutchen said. And normally I don't respond, but I happen to like Andrew McCutchen very well. Known him forever, it seems. And I had a part of a segment, Coca, that we did, I don't know, it was a week ago, maybe under a week ago, where Andrew McCutchen had a statement about dead balls and how he had information that the balls were different. They're not carrying. We told you that MLB studied it and that, yes, it's true that balls are carrying less than they did. There's more drag on the ball than there has been. But my point was simple. MLB did not doctor the balls in order to get a desired outcome. For whatever reason, one of our clips got snipped and clipped, and it may have been Coca, and Kutch responded publicly, where he could have just called me, but why would we do that these days? He responded publicly, basically saying that I sullied him and I should stay in my lane and keep quiet and just know that I've got a source. Because I said on the show that McCutchen gave a quote and said, hey, he's got a source. His source is that the balls have been changed. Well, I got a source, and my source tells me they haven't. So I just said, hey, your source is bad. And then McCutchen tweeted at me and said, my source is the commissioner. And I almost dropped my drawers. Rule 1, you never say who your source is. Rule 2, you don't violate Rule 1. Now, if it's true, then I will stand down, because then it means you've gone to the top of the baseball food chain. If anybody can get Rob Manfred on the record, and I'm talking to you, Pat Courtney, or Glenn if you're out there, or Dan, or Rob himself, if you're willing to go on the record right now and say, yes, you did change the baseballs, then I will go on the record and say, Andrew, Kutch, my man, I got that one wrong. Absolutely. Your source was way better than my source. It's the commissioner. I would say that there's a better chance of weeds growing out of my tuchus than for Rob Manfred to come out and say that he doctored and changed the balls in order to put more drag on the balls. But you never know. Life's crazy. And I have been eating a lot of wheatgrass recently, so you just never know. But in the meantime, do I mind public spats with former players? No. Do I love it? No. Is it one of those things, any attention's good attention, David? Any tweet that has your name and you're showing it, that's got to be good, even if it's bad, even if all the comments say you're a dork who stinks, stick to working for your mother. God knows what they say. Try to get yourself to 5'8" before you comment on anything. I get it. I've heard it all. Doesn't bother me in the least. I want that to be a lesson to all of you. Being wrong shouldn't bother you. Being wrong maliciously, purposefully, doing it in a way that is really doesn't speak highly of you as a person, no need to do that. We don't want to be that gas bag show. We're not. If you watch the clip, I simply said, McCutchen's sources stink. I believe mine are better. Am I right? Am I wrong? Well, his source is Rob Manfred. Yikes. I may be wrong. You may be right. And I may be crazy. Quick word of advice to people when you're trying to buy a team. Shh. Don't give any interviews. Don't talk to the press. Don't go public, because baseball owners don't like that. You're going to get voted down. You're not even going to get put up to a vote. A guy named Tripp Miller said that the Rays, I've got a plan for the Rays, and where I'm going, we don't need roads. We just need capital. And I've got all the cash in the world. I put the lick in liquidity. You see, Tripp Miller is the founder of a company that manages capital for private and public companies, which is a fancy word for cash management, but you can make a lot of money. He did an interview with News Channel 8, and he said, much like the Atlanta Braves have done, if you've been to the Battery in Atlanta, it is pretty amazing. What's up, Uggs? We think that's a wonderful model for what we'd like to do in the right place with the right public-private partnership in the Tampa area. Hold on, dude. This is a guy who doesn't own the team. This is a guy who's not part of the $1.7 billion rumored transaction that the Rays are doing right now. Hold on. He's a competitive bid, which is great. Go to 1.8 and let's talk. We can do some coffee talk at 1.8. However, do us a favor. Stop hurting your chances to get approved by giving interviews. And when you give interviews, which you're going to do eventually, you're going to go right into public-private partnerships? Love you, man. He went right into with the right public-private partnership. And then he said, there are other interesting locations in the Tampa area that we have explored. And I think if we are chosen to acquire this valuable asset, that we would take a very thoughtful approach over a number of months with a pigeonhole 6. but probably will take some time to figure out exactly the right financing package in the right location to do a master plan development. There's nothing that he said is wrong, Coca. There's nothing wrong with what he said. As a matter of fact, it makes perfect sense for an incoming owner who's negotiating to buy a team to be doing work simultaneously, looking at land maps, looking to see where it's possible to get a stadium done, talking to politicians. Hey, what do you think about this site, this possibility, that probability? What do you really think about Stu Sternberg? Any thoughts and any skeletons in the closet? I'd like to get the price down just a tad. Governor DeSantis, any help coming our way? Listen, I'm all in. I'm all in on Tampa. And the governor would say, it's not that I'm out on St. Petersburg. I'm just in on Florida. As long as you're in Florida. All right, thanks, Governor. Let's go back to the mayor. Hey, Mayor of St. Pete, in or out? Wait, you just announced that you're looking at Tampa. Get out of here. Get out of my office. Wouldn't you just quietly go to every single mayor and say, if I were the owner of this team and you could get rid of the people you don't like dealing with, what would you do? How would it look? He said that he's got the whole timeline ready. He wants the team to get sold this year. And he expects that once this exclusive period that the Rays have, once it's gone, then that'll be that. Then he'll get to step up and take the transaction. He even was asked about Tropicana Field. He was asked on this News Channel 8 thing, listen, if you buy the team, would you revisit plans for Tropicana Field and the new district that's being planned in St. Petersburg? What do you think he said? You're damn skippy, I would. You'd have to be some kind of fool just to say Tampa, which he had said previously. Then when asked about St. Petersburg, he said, oh, I think I remember how to do this. I think I've got to keep all options open. You know what else you should be asked? Hey, would you consider relocation? Well, as an owner of a team, you have to consider every possible scenario. Of course, relocation is a scenario. It'd be totally normal. But my advice for you, good old Trip. I got to wait to see, Bruin Coca. Wait to see is when we tell you something's going to happen. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. But here's my wait to see. The Tampa Bay Rays will not be sold to Trip Miller. Wait to see. All right, I'd like everyone to hold hands now, whoever you're with. And if you're alone, just clasp your own hands. If you're driving, just two hands on the wheel, but touch your thumbs the way my dad used to drive with his thumbs touching. And he would roll his thumbs on the top of the steering wheel while steering. That's how I learned and watched him drive for all those many years. Touch hands because I want to celebrate something, and it's always better to celebrate when you have human contact, whether it's you're listening or feeling or touching or in person. I want to give love to the Seattle Mariners and their catcher, Cal Raleigh. We don't give enough love here. Sometimes we get stuck. We get stuck in Dodgers and Yankees and Cowboys and all the things that happen when you're trying to make sure that you hit the numbers you're supposed to hit because of the money you're getting paid, and say that there's no one who has editorial control over you, but still you know when your agent calls and says, dude, play the hits, stop talking about Iran. When you hear those things during the break of a show, you say to yourself, oh, I get it. Except so many stories happen that are so awesome. Do you know that he's got 31 home runs? And that may not impress you at all. It just may not. Except when I tell you that he's got the most home runs by a switch hitter before the All-Star break, except for, tied with, breaking, Mickey Mantle, Jose Ramirez, Lance Berkman. These are names you may have heard of. He's traveling in some elite circles with 31 home runs before the All-Star break. And by the way, the All-Star break is not for 2.5 weeks. More, 3 weeks. Cal Raleigh passed them all. He now has the record amongst all switch hitters. All of them. He's got the record. And do you know what else he has? He's got a seat alongside Ken Griffey Jr. with the Mariners. Two Mariners who have hit 30 home runs before the All-Star break. That's it. His record, 35 in 1998 when he was crushing Sosa McGuire style without the needles. I just want to say this, that we can talk about the ball and its drag, and we can talk about dead balls, live balls, and side balls, and knee balls, and couch potatoes. We can talk about anything that hangs low or rides high. I can talk about swinging them to and fro. I do one limerick and I can barely talk, Coca. Sorry, I didn't get to the mute button. I apologize. Please mute that out. I was coughing. I was talking. I've got avocado in my tonsils. I'm going to have to work on the juice part of the morning routine, Coca. I will. It's new. We're 3 weeks into the 2-hour show. There's going to be an occasional mistake with not going to have nailed down. It's going to happen. I'm trying to give perspective to what this guy's doing in Seattle, toiling in the northern part of the U.S. where no one's paying attention to a team that ought to be paid attention to. If no other reason than you've got a number 51 being retired who is about to go into the Hall of Fame in 1 month and 2 days in one of the most eagerly anticipated moments of Major League Baseball history. That is not hyperbole. Having Ichiro in the Hall of Fame, the first Japanese player. Seattle, who has struggled to figure out how to meet expectations. They have not been able to win in a way that other organizations have. There is no doubt about that. But they are also only 5 games behind Houston. They are 39 and 37. They are absolutely in the wild card race, like in third place, which means they are a wild card right now, tied with Cleveland for the 3rd spot. Half a game ahead of Boston. This is a team that is getting it done. And that's the position you want to be in as you head into the All-Star break, as you head into the trade deadline. And their leader is this switch-hitting catcher who is bombing the ball. Do you want to know how many players have 30 or more home runs in the team's first 75 games? Just out of curiosity, what are some names if I said to you, who gets 30 home runs in 75 games? You'd probably say, oh, that Shohei Ohtani. No. Try again. Oh, Aaron Judge for sure. No. Try again. Oh, what about the needle guys? Barry Bonds, Sosa McGuire. Yep, that's right. Sosa, McGuire, Bonds. They got 30-plus home runs in their team's first 75 games. Wait, there's got to be more players. There's got to be. Oh, yeah. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Reggie Jackson, Ken Griffey. And then my friend Luis Gonzalez in the year the Diamondbacks won the World Series in 2001. That's the list. He is in rarefied air. Rarefied. He's going to be your all-star catcher. You're going to get to know him. Could he break Bonds' record cleanly? It seems almost impossible to believe. Could he beat McGuire and Sosa? Could he get past Judge? You just don't know, but he certainly is well on his way. So, to Cal Raleigh and to the rest of the people in the great city of Seattle, we love you here. He's going to be getting a lot more attention soon. Coca, did you watch the College World Series? So much talk. Congratulations, LSU. LSU is the champion, queen and everything. They beat Coastal Carolina. Boy, that's getting a lot of attention. A lot of attention. A lot of video. Because who doesn't love the College World Series? Well, I like the Little League World Series better. Do you know what I saw yesterday? Coca, side note, at the fest I was at, the equipment manager for the team from the men's NCAA tournament who walked onto the court with the boombox. There is virtually no way you'd be prepared for this because we didn't talk about it before the show. I want to say McNeese State, but it's not. And I'm talking about when you get 15 minutes, what you do with it. You try to extend it as long as possible. There is a story coming out of Coastal Carolina that I think may have some legs because it's so unbelievable. The manager and the first base coach got thrown out of the game in the first inning. I don't really recall much except to tell you that when there's a elimination game or a World Series game, umpires are spoken to, and you really don't want to eject a manager, just like you don't want to give players 2 technical fouls in an NBA Game 7, and you don't want to get a star in foul trouble in a deciding Game 7. These are all normal conversations that go on before a game with referees and umpires. Normal. Why did Kevin Schnall get tossed from the game along with his first base coach, Matt Schilling? Because there was some sort of argument about balls and strikes, and there was some thought that the manager was in some way questioning or in any way showing up the umpire, who, by the way, was a former Major League umpire. The problem is, I have great sympathy for what Kevin Schnall, what happened to him, except for there is one rule that is put in place for a reason, and it's sort of like a third rail that Major League managers are very well aware of. You can't argue balls and strikes. If you do, you're going to get ejected. If you want to yell, hey, that was down, that happens every time. Hey, let's go, pay attention, that ball's up. Normal, no problem. That ball's out. Fine. Even you can say with exuberance and anger and passion. You can yell until the veins are popping out of your neck with one knee in the dugout and you are GTG, good to go. However, do not leave that dugout. Do not approach that umpire on the field of play, on his field of play, and argue balls and strikes. You're gone. They don't care. Game 7, Game 4, elimination game. It does not matter. You get ejected. Hard stop. Now, Kevin Schnall did a press conference after the game and after his team lost and said, my word is own it. My kids have to own their action. I will own my action, but I'm a grown man. I should have the right to come out and talk to another grown man without that grown man shooing me away. Nope. You don't get that right. That is nowhere in the Constitution of this great United States that you have the right other than to remain silent. The other right you have is to argue as vociferously as you'd like from the confines of your own dugout. You violated your rights. And when you violate your rights, there are consequences. So, there is a question that has to be asked, which is, isn't this on the manager? Isn't this on the first base coach? Isn't it their responsibility to their kids and their team not to do something that you know is not a matter of interpretation? When you are on the field arguing balls and strikes, you get ejected. Coke is asking in my ear, would I have been upset if Jack McKeon had got tossed out of a World Series game? No, I wouldn't have. Because Jack McKeon was running the game, whether he was in the dugout or whether he was tossed out and in the manager's room. Quick side note to this, Coca, just between us for fun. When managers are kicked out of games, they're still running the game. Shh, don't tell anyone. Yes, I've spent many a game with managers in their clubhouse being kicked out because I'll walk down and then, hey, how we doing? Everything good? And you're sitting in the manager's office with the manager who's in his skivvies with the lineup card still. Do you know the time? This is so good, Coca. If we don't have video of this, but if we had a team of 50, we would. When managers are kicked out of a baseball game, they take the lineup card out of their pocket and they give the lineup card to whoever's going to manage now, like the bench coach. And then they go down into the tunnel. Do you think that they have no more lineup cards? And they're like, oh, wait, who's playing second? I can't remember. Is this guy available to pitch? Wait a minute. Do we have a pinch hitter for this man? Would you give me a small break? It's not the only lineup card. Glad I got that out of my system. Do I think that Kevin Schnall was not managing the game after the first inning? You can bet your sweet Bippy he was managing the game after the first inning. Now, there's a different first base coach. Yeah. There's a different guy in the field who has to go make pitching changes. But do you think that a pitching change, this is a funny one. Do you think pitching changes are made by whoever is managing the game after the manager got tossed? Okay. You keep believing in unicorns. No problem with me. He actually said it pretty nicely that He's sorry. Not sorry for what happened, but that the season's over. God, I love this guy. He obviously knows the rules in the NCAA. It's the same as MLB. It's a simple rule. Balls, strikes, half swings, or a hit by pitch are not to be argued. After a warning, any player or coach who continues to argue balls, strikes, half swings, or a hit by pitch shall be ejected. It's right there. I want to talk about a lawsuit right now. Yes, I do enjoy talking about lawsuits. There's so many of them. There's so many things to inform you about. This is actually an important one that's happening between my alma mater and one of the places where I've taught and one of the places that I love with all my heart. I love the Miami Hurricanes. Absolutely. Which reminds me, Coca, on a show last week, I mentioned that the name San Jose Earthquakes was interesting to me. Why would you name a team after a calamity? And someone wrote to me, thank you for getting back to me. Have you heard of the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team or the Miami Hurricanes baseball team? And I said, oh my God, I hadn't even thought of that. How terrible is that to name a team after such a tragedy that happens in your community? It's terrible. The Hurricanes? It's like, how about the death and destruction track? How about just call it the Andrews? The Miami Andrewses. That wouldn't even be funny. I'm sure that there's 42.8% of you who have no idea what I'm talking about. Look it up. GTS, baby. Hurricane Andrew. Not good. So I love the Hurricanes. I love the Badgers. I'm a Badger. It's my alma mater. Here's the lawsuit. I want to get it right down so you can understand it. There's a general rule that we all have to follow. I like the philosophy of live and let live. Do whatever you want. Don't bother me. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you love. I don't care what you look like. But you got to let me be me. Well, there's a law about that. It's called tortious interference with the contract. Let me tell you what tortious interference is. You can't get in my way when I'm doing business. You cannot get in the way of my doing a deal with another company for my business. If I am trying to buy water bottles, unsponsored still, DraftKings, I'm absolutely labelless with my water. You cannot get in the way and say you may not do business with this water company. You can only do business with me. You're not allowed when a team has a player as part of its NIL collective and all of a sudden that player leaves. I'm talking about the story we told you about, the cornerback Xavier Lucas, who left Wisconsin just in January and said, I've got a better idea. I'm going to go play for Miami. And it was a very big deal. Well, Wisconsin immediately said, I'm sorry, you're under contract. Remember all the NIL collectives and all the times that players are getting money and all the times that I told you that college players are now true free agents and true employees and have to answer to someone because they don't just get under the table boosts of cars and suits and various other things for their parents. Remember that conversation? And then furthermore, do you remember when I told you this is not going to go well because players are going to get paid and they're going to say, oh, I got $2 million here. Huh? What do you got over there, Mr. Agent? Well, I got the Hurricanes willing to give you $5 million. $5 million. Of course, I don't know what the numbers are with Xavier Lucas. Doesn't matter. But there's a contract. If you're the Miami Hurricanes and you know that there's a player under contract with Wisconsin, you cannot poach that player. There are rules against it. And what's more is it's a legal problem. If there is a contract between an NIL collective and Xavier Lucas for Wisconsin, and you have him break that contract and come to you, and you give him the path to break it, so he's then free to come to you, you are subject to a lawsuit. That's exactly what Wisconsin filed, which says, excuse me, he's not allowed to do that, and you're not allowed to cause him to do that. You're not allowed to help him do that. You're not allowed to interfere with what I do. This is a huge lawsuit. Because think about what happens if Miami wins. If Miami wins, there'll be quite a precedent set, won't there? Tampering? You think what we do when we talk to free agents during the course of a season and don't tell anyone, when we sign players who are playing for other teams, or we talk about trading for players to the agents and the players and then the teams, that's just standard everyday tampering. Let me tell you the type of tampering this is in baseball terms. Aaron Judge is in the middle. Let's go Ohtani. It's easy math. At 70 million, 4869. Shohei Ohtani's in the middle of a 710-year deal. What happens if the Yankees came along and they said, Shohei, I've got $1.4 billion for you over the same 10 years. And Shohei said, see you later, LA. Doesn't matter that Andrew's still here. I am going to New York. Why do you think that's not allowed? Because that would be literally interfering with the Dodgers and their contractual agreement with Ohtani. You can't do it. You can collectively bargain free agency periods, and you can collectively bargain when you can terminate contracts and all those things that you can do. You can negotiate anything. And when there's agreement, that's what a negotiation is. It results in an agreement. And what an agreement says is, hey, we know what we're doing. We know what you're doing. There is full disclosure, full reps, full warranties. We're all good here. No interfering because we're above board. But when you go behind someone's back and when you think that you can get away with that, good for the Big Ten for supporting University of Wisconsin. You ought to support them in this lawsuit against Miami because if by chance Miami wins, it's over. You can forget a player being on a team. They could switch mid-season. Oh, you're going to the road. They could go Ronaldo, Club World Cup style, switch teams, which he didn't end up doing, but that would have been cool. You could have a guy in the middle of the season say, see you later. I'm about to go play for this other team because they're having a better year and I have better money coming. You cannot allow that. If Miami prevails here, then the level of tampering that will take place and the legal cover that these universities will think they have will lead to a Wild West that will blow your mind. It will make the old Western movies look like child's play. So, how does this have to end? It has to end with a judgment or a settlement, and the judgment's going to go Wisconsin's way, and the settlement would have to be not the return of Xavier Lucas, but there's going to have to be a payment made by Miami to Wisconsin. There's got to be a way to make it right and make Wisconsin stand down, because here's what Wisconsin and Miami both don't want. They don't want the precedent set either extreme. When you're running a team or a school in a set of rules, you want there to be enough fog, enough possibilities that you can maybe make incremental differences with your intelligence and with your ability to do business within the four corners of a contract. When you start going outside the four corners and start doing things that put you at a total competitive advantage to the detriment of someone else that's purposeful, it's dangerous. You don't want a court weighing in on this either way, which is why Wisconsin and Miami have got to find a way to settle, and I believe they will. Because while a complaint was filed in state circuit court today, it does not mean that it has gone to trial. It doesn't mean there has been any level of discovery. It means the process is just starting. It will be a huge wait to see, but either way, they will look at each other and just say, settle. It's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.